Welcome back to GDT Tech Reviews. In this video we are going to do a detailed review and pick the top 5 best Ultrabook 2022. So let us get started and the review based on our studies and small research. If you have any personal suggestion, do let us know in the comment section. If you are for the first time, don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell icon for more videos. We will be also providing affiliates link to purchase from Amazon. Kindly use to for best offers and purchase from anywhere in the world. So let's get started. The Dell XPS 13 looks sleek and modern, but there are some polarizing aspects to the design. On the plus side, the XPS 13 is quite attractive with its CNC machined aluminum and glass body, and it weighs only 2.7 pounds with a svelte footprint of 11.6 by 7.8 by 0.6 inches. You can take your pick from two finishes, kind of like two flavors of the Star Wars Force. There's light, platinum, and dark, graphite, and both versions use a clean tone-on-tone design to minimize distractions. The touchpad is so seamless, though, that you can't see where it starts and ends. It's integrated into the palm rest and provides haptic responses to touch. This setup worked well during our brief hands-on time, but it may take some getting used to. The bigger adjustment for most will likely be the new capacitive touch function row, which lets you toggle between function and media keys. Given that Apple ditched the touch bar for its MacBook Pro, it's a bit of a surprise to see another laptop maker embrace something similar. But the good news is that the keys never change their position based on what you're doing, they're always the same. Touch typists should enjoy using the Dell XPS 13 Plus. It features a zero-lattice keyboard with larger keycaps, and Dell says there's a deeper dish, 0.3 mm, supporting the layout. During my hands-on time, I didn't mind the lack of space between the keys, and typing was fairly comfortable overall with a good amount of travel. I wish the down and up arrows were larger, but generally speaking the XPS 13 Plus typing experience is satisfying. The Dell XPS 13 Plus continues to feature a 4-sided Infinity Edge 13.4-inch display, but this time around Dell says that it reduced the number of layers to improve clarity and reduce weight. In person, the Dell XPS Premium's OLED display looked bright and vibrant, but there's a wide range of options. It starts with a full HD+, 1920 by 1200, panel with 500 nits of brightness, and there's a touchscreen version of the same display. The HP Spectre X360 14 arrives with a brushed metal design that's available in several color combinations. The 360-degree hinge, which allows the screen to flip back completely, turning the HP Spectre X360 into a tablet-like device, feels solid and reliable. The right-hand side is engraved with the word Spectre - a nice touch that further cements the HP Spectre X360's overall premium feel. In terms of connections, you get an audio in jack and full-size USB port on the right. The inclusion of a full-size USB port is a nice touch for such a thin and light laptop, plus 2 USB-C ports, a microSD port and a physical webcam kill switch on the left. The latter allows you to turn off the webcam when it isn't in use. It's a great feature for people concerned about their privacy. It's definitely a big selling point, and that, along with the full-size USB port and microSD slot, show that it is possible for a thin and light laptop to incorporate multiple connections without compromising design. It certainly puts the two USB-C ports of the MacBook Air, M1, 2020, and MacBook Pro 13-inch to shame. Open up the HP Spectre X360 and you're presented with a bright and vibrant screen, surrounded by extremely thin bezels. This gives the device a modern look, while keeping the overall size of the laptop down. It's another case of a Windows 10 laptop looking more stylish than an Apple MacBook, something both HP and Intel will be pleased to learn, and is yet another reason for Apple to consider updating its MacBook designs. The keyboard is large and enjoyable to use, with the keys offering decent travel. They're also backlit, so you can comfortably use them in the dark. The touchpad is nice and responsive. It's wider than you'd expect on a 13-inch laptop, providing a bit more room to move your fingers. There's also a fingerprint scanner to the right of the touchpad for logging into Windows 10. Similar to HP's provision of ports, the company has found a way of cramming a large keyboard and trackpad into a small body. It's a seriously impressive design feat. The ThinkPad X1 Carbon, Gen 9, has the classic raven black, rectangular ThinkPad aesthetic we've come to expect from Lenovo over the years. The lightweight chassis is made from a combination of magnesium and carbon fiber, with a nice, soft touch feel on the palm rest. There's an optional carbon fiber weave lid that gives the laptop an added touch of class and a softer texture, but it only comes on configurations that have a 3840 by 2400 display. There are a few subtle, but important, design changes from the Gen 8 version of the ThinkPad X1 Carbon. The chassis is a little bit longer and narrower, 12.38 by 8.72 inches versus 12.7 by 8.5 inches, in order to accommodate a 16:10 aspect ratio screen as opposed to the 16:9 panels Carbons have used previously. This allows for more vertical screen real estate you can use for reading web pages or editing documents. The dual hinges from Gen 8 have been replaced by one long, round hinge that takes up most of the width of the lid. And, in a welcome change, the power button now sits above the right side of the keyboard, where we would expect it. Though most laptops have their power buttons above the keyboard, Lenovo had placed the 8X1 Carbon, Gen 8's button on the side so that users could easily turn it on even if the lid was closed and it was connected to a docking station. However, the button was small, skimpy and awkward in that location. At 12.38 by 8.72 by 0.59 inches and 2.5 pounds, the Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Carbon, Gen 9, is extremely thin and light for any laptop, particularly one with a 14-inch display. By comparison, the Dell XPS 13, 2.8 pounds, 11.6 by 7.8 by 0.6 inches, is smaller but heavier, while the Asus ZenBook 13, 11.97 by 7.99 by 0.55 inches, 2.5 pounds, is smaller with the same weight. The ThinkPad X1 Nano, 2 pounds, 12.7 by 8.5 by 0.6 inches, is much more portable but, like Dell and Asus offerings, has only a 13-inch display. Not surprisingly, the ThinkPad X1 Yoga, Gen 6, which is the 2-in-1 version of the Carbon, is heavier and larger at 3 pounds, 12.3 by 8.8 by 0.6 inches in order to accommodate its convertible mechanism. Where many Ultrabooks only make room for USB Type-C, Thunderbolt ports, the ThinkPad X1 Carbon, Gen 9, manages to pack in all the major ports most people need. The left side features two Thunderbolt 4, USB-C ports, a USB Type-A 3.2, 5 gigabits per second, port and a full-size HDMI out. The right side provides room for a second USB Type-A port and a Kensington lock. This probably isn't super surprising, but the Dell XPS 17 is a gorgeous laptop. All silver with the Dell logo on the back of the screen, it looks like the MacBook Pro competitor that it is. And, unlike the MacBook, it has this soft finish on the deck of the laptop that makes the laptop much more comfortable to work on. The 17-inch size of course also allows for the XPS 17 to have much more space on the keyboard deck, and it's kind of surprising how Dell put it to use here. Instead of putting a full keyboard with a numpad, like many laptops in this size class, Dell instead puts a standard laptop keyboard in and surrounds it with speakers instead. That means that the Dell XPS 17 has a very similar design to the MacBook Pro in this regard, and we absolutely love it. There are absolutely folks that are going to want a full keyboard, but the speakers that Dell was able to put in here sound fantastic. Because the Dell XPS 17 is packed with an 11th generation Intel Core processor and an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3060, it probably shouldn't be super surprising that it absolutely chews through most workloads. The dedicated GPU here makes it able to hold its own in games, easily averaging around 52 FPS in Metro Exodus at 1080p with everything at Ultra. Turn down a few settings, and you're going to be able to get a solid 60 FPS experience out of even the most demanding games at 1080p. But that's not really what the Dell XPS 17 is for. The design of the Asus ZenBook 13 is definitely one of its standout features. At just 0.55 inches thin, 13.9 mm, and 2.51 pounds, 1.14 kilograms, this is a seriously lightweight Ultrabook. The aluminum chassis has a sleek brushed metal design on the lid radiating out from the Asus logo stamped off center on the front. It's not an art piece by any means, but it's not the kind of thing that you'll be embarrassed to whip out in public. The edge-to-edge keyboard was comfortable enough for us, but we type for a living. We can definitely see how some might find the key layout too cramped, and the trackpad is definitely not as responsive or comfortable as you'll find on the XPS 13. One thing that definitely helps, though, is that the keyboard lifts up toward you as you fully extend the screen, making typing on it more pleasant than it would otherwise be. When it comes to ports, there are two USB Type-C ports, a USB Type-A, an HDMI 2.0 output port, and a microSD slot.